The Dodgers are one game away from elimination. Let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. This is a daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers, and you can make that easy on yourself. Or you can become an everydayer by listening and watching every day. You can make that easier on yourself by subscribing and get notified when our episodes are ready, or when we're going live like we are here on Tuesday night. If this is your first time listening and watching, you chose a great episode to join in on. I'm Vince Samperio. That's Jeff Snyder. We've been doing this podcast here for 6 years. We've been doing the Dodger podcast for longer than that, and we've been covering the Dodgers for a decade now in a few different ways, and we've seen a lot of this type of Dodger playoff moments, especially in these last 10 years. And while the series is not over, the Dodgers' backs are against the wall. They are one game away from elimination. They're also one game away from coming back home and having a Game 5 winner-take-all. Unfortunately, this game, the offense did put up 5 runs, but the bad part is that the Dodgers defense and Walker Buehler, 6 runs came in during those times, and it all came in one inning. And it was one of those innings that you'll never want to ever see again.
Yeah, the crazy thing is that it was the veterans who are known for their defense who their defense cost the Dodgers. You know, their hindsight's 2020. The Freeman play, I get it. It's a funky thing. Obviously, in hindsight, once he saw Machado veering inside, he probably should have just pivoted and tossed to the pitcher covering first base and get an out. The Rojas one was just baffling and inexcusable. One of the things that frustrated me about this game, John Smoltz has been mostly tolerable for me this series, but I don't understand the point of having a former player as a color commentator if he can't say the words, "That was a bad play by Rojas." Like they're praising Jackson Merrill's hustle. He ran hard. That's what you're supposed to do, especially when you're 21 years old. It was a terrible play by Rojas to have what should have been a double play grounder, definitely should have been at least a fielder's choice, and get 0 outs of it. And you know, it came back to haunt them big time, because if Rojas if he flips that ball to Lux, they get 1 out there, the Dodgers win this game. It was just so frustrating, like just a terrible decision by Rojas. I don't know if his physical limitations were part of the reason he didn't get to the bag in time, or if it was just a bad decision. But either way, he knew about his physical limitations too. Just that play kind of encapsulated Rojas is only playing because of his defense. He's injured and he's gutting it out because of his defense. And then his defense cost the Dodgers the game. And you wouldn't know it by listening to the color commentator. Just never even threw out the possibility that maybe Rojas should have flipped the ball to the guy standing on the bag, you know?
Yeah, it was. I still don't understand that play. There's a screenshot of no runner in the frame, the runner at second, or the defender at second, and Rojas with the ball. And I think the comment or the caption just said this wasn't an out. And yeah, that's basically what it looked like. Like, I just don't know what he was thinking. Like, you have Walker Buehler up there, who you know is a guy that's not going to strike many people out. So, you know, the fact of the matter is you get outs whenever you can. Freddie, if Freddie's healthy, I don't know if he has ability to get up and throw that ball. I don't know if that changes anything. Maybe it decides him to turn around and toss it to Buehler, who was covering first base. You know, I don't know. I'm not going to say that him being compromised really affected that play. It was a heads up play by Machado. Like he hit for everything that has been said about Machado, like that was a great play by him to do that, and ended up prolonging the inning and everything else that prolonged the inning. And then Walker Buehler lost a little bit of command and didn't get pitches where he wanted to, or at least I hope they weren't where he wanted them. And that whole inning got away from them, and that's all it took. And yeah, it's one of those where I think the first couple of segments here, I'm definitely going to be upset and, mad and frustrated and everything else. And then in the last segment, I'll kind of say why I'll feel different going into tomorrow's game. But yeah, it's one of those things where for all the talk, all the talk of this team's different and they're walking around and blah, blah, blah. And I keep mentioning that part, but then all the talk about Dave Roberts bringing up, the Machado thing, which seems overblown. Max Muncy saying, guys are throwing the bats in there 30 feet when they hit a single to get the crowd going at Petco Park. Just shut up and just play at this point and play better than you've been playing.
Yeah, and I don't even care about the shut up part. I just care about the play better part. I think the shut up part is irrelevant. They want to talk, that's fine. They want to shut up, that's fine. None of it has any impact on anything on the field. They just need to hit the ball better. And in this case, catch and throw the ball better too. And talking about Buehler, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, Buehler was awesome. He got, it was a wasted gem by him. And Buehler wasn't awesome. The fact is all 6 runs were technically earned. The most charitable way of describing it, it's 3 earned runs, because realistically on that throwing error by Freeman, they called it a fielder's choice and only the error for Machado advancing to third. They didn't assume the out at second. I assume because he was on his knees, so that's beyond ordinary effort to make that throw. But if you give Freeman an error on that throw, allowing Machado to get to second, then Machado's run is unearned, and a rise pop-up would have been the 3rd out of the inning before Tatis's homer. So, but even then, that's 3 earned runs in 5 innings, and, it's not a great outing. And the big issue, besides the defense in that inning, was that Buehler doesn't have strikeout stuff, and especially against a team like the Padres that don't strike out. But 0 strikeouts in 5 innings is very few, even against a team like the Padres. That's not, the Padres don't strike out a lot, but they strike out more than 0 times and 3 times through the lineup most games. And that inning, that's what we saw. They weren't hitting the ball hard until they did. Peralta hit the double hard, and obviously Tatis's home run was blistered. But in situations where you need a strikeout, he was getting, ground balls that the defense wasn't turning into outs. And some of them because they got through the infield, some of them because of bad plays. But all in all, it's hard to be successful as a pitcher if you don't have any strikeout stuff at all. And that was one of the big issues with Buehler tonight. Yeah,
Buehler, the biggest thing Buehler did, and obviously Roberts aided in that regard, was giving them 5 innings when, he probably shouldn't have gotten more than 2 innings, and saving the bullpen a little bit for now what we know is a bullpen game in game 4. But for me, these guys are what is David Peralta doing when he's standing there at the plate that these guys are saying, oh, let me just hang a pitch or put a pitch where it shouldn't be? For everything, yes, Walker should have been out of that inning more than likely. Yes, Walker had to throw way more pitches than anything else, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, he had 1-2 on Peralta, and it wasn't a bad pitch. It was, cutter that moved, but it wasn't where it should have been. And the way Peralta swung at the first couple he swung at least one of them against Buehler, throw another fastball high in there. That might not be Buehler's call, or he took what Will gave him or whatever the case was. Like I said, the pitch that he made wasn't terrible, but why give Peralta some soft stuff to swing at when you can just, climb the ladder and go up there where he probably wasn't going to hit the ball. And if he was going to pop up. And then to Tatis, 0-2, throw anything other than a fastball down the middle, literally
anything other than the worst pitch you've ever thrown in your life. Yeah. Giving up RBIs to David Peralta is infuriating. Like I said the other day, for a team that knows all of the holes in his swing very, very intimately after playing against him for years and having him on their team last year, it's hard to accept that. All in all, and it was that 1 inning. That was all of the Padres runs. And the Dodgers, Dodgers were done scoring after the 3rd inning too. They could have stopped the game then, saved all the pitching. But in the end, it was infuriating. That's what that inning was. And then they gave us hope. And, we'll talk more in this next segment about the hope they gave us. But, I guess maybe it was better than getting blown out, maybe.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you had the ability to think that, okay, one swing of the bat could tie this game. They never got that swing, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, which is America's #1 sportsbook. We get a hunch in the middle of the game. You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you got to do is go to FanDuel.com, check out all the bets that they got going on, put $5 down, and boom, right there, you get $200 in bonus bets. You don't even need that bet to hit. And, if you want to put $5 down, go put $5 down on the Dodgers to come back and win this series. It's maybe not likely that it happens, but that makes the odds that much better. And, you get a little bit of return and you get $200 in bonus bets. So right now, go to FanDuel.com and get all that started. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. The Game Time app is here to make your life easier when it comes to live events. And they've done something to make it even easier than it was before because they have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. If you think that you are a good luck charm for the Dodgers, maybe you want to start looking at tickets for Wednesday, and with the Game Time Picks, you can filter out all that fluff and find you the best deal. That goes along with all of Game Time's other great things that they have, all in pricing, views from your seat, the lowest price guarantee, and Game Time ticket coverage. All that is available with the Game Time app. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your maybe last listen of the day here on Tuesday, or your first listen of the day if you are listening anytime after this. We appreciate you guys. You can subscribe and get notified when episodes are ready or when we are going live like we are here on YouTube on Tuesday night. And you can check out Locked On Sports Los Angeles. Check out the Locked On Dodgers postcast with host Pete Fox, available after most Dodger games. Hopefully there's more games to go about there. Locked On Sports Today is also on YouTube, running 24/7 from the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, Jeff. So when the Dodgers went down 6-1, even the most optimistic of Dodger fans maybe couldn't have thought that the Dodgers had a chance to come back. And they didn't wait long to give us that hope that they could come back, because the next inning, they loaded the bases and Kiké Hernandez hit one over the wall. And then now it was a 6-5 game with 6 innings left to play. And you thought, oh, man, okay, the Dodgers can do this. Michael King's probably not going to last that much longer. The Dodgers bullpen, you will get to see more of the Padres bullpen. And you got to think the Dodgers are going to score more, at least one run the rest of the way, right? The Dodgers are definitely going to get at least 2 hits the rest of the way, right? And if you would have thought that, you would have thought wrong, because that's not what happened. And the Dodgers ended up not scoring run and losing 6-5. And for as exciting as that inning was, the rest of the game just kind of fell dead compared to that.
Yeah, the fact is, at the trade deadline, what the Padres did was stock up their bullpen, and it worked out for them tonight. It was, you saw the guys, they got Jason Adam, they got Tanner Scott, both at the trade deadline. Both of those guys were awesome. Obviously, Jeremiah Estrada has been good for them most of the year. Robert Suarez has great stuff. It hasn't always translated to success, but also, it does a lot of the time. I mean, they didn't push Michael King. You remember a couple of weeks ago when in that regular season game when the Dodgers came back and Joe Musgrove was cruising until he wasn't, and then Smith at the home run, and Dodgers won that game. And I talked in that episode about how I was kind of happy that Musgrove's pitch count was so low, because I was hoping that would mean they'd leave him in too long and give guys more looks at him. And that's what happened. And it seems like Mike Schill learned his lesson from that, because Michael King, his pitch count was under control, but they pulled him and said, what's the point of having this bullpen if we're not going to use it in a game like this? 1-run game. We've got 4 innings left. Let's use our 4 top relievers and get through these 4 innings. And it worked out for him for sure. And as a Dodgers focus, we're Dodger fans. We're looking at it from the Dodger standpoint. Yeah, it looks like the Dodgers hitters just fell asleep. I guarantee Javi's episode of Locked On Padres is talking about how the Padres bullpen came through. And, the truth is somewhere in between, probably. Every at bat is a pitcher trying to get a hitter out. And sometimes the pitchers win, sometimes the hitters win. And tonight, unfortunately, after the third inning, it was basically on both sides, the pitchers winning every at bat. We're frustrated that the Dodgers didn't do anything after the third inning. Padres didn't do anything after the second inning. They just did a tiny bit more in the second inning than the Dodgers did through 3 innings. And that ended up being the game. It was definitely a pitcher's game, the last 6 innings of this game.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the big part of it too, is as frustrated as it seems, or these guys aren't trying, or whatever the case is. Obviously, we know they're trying, and without being facetious, that they don't want to get out, like they want to get hits, but also the other part of it is just like not to blame, but it is. We said without the top of the order, the Dodgers aren't going to win this, and after Ohtani's big home run in game 1, he has 1 hit since then. And, realistically, the Dodgers, or no, 2, 1 hit since then. Just today, he got the 1 hit.
Didn't he have a broken bat?
Since the home run, he had 2 hits. Yeah. Two broken bat singles. So that's not going to get it done. Mookie Betts tried his best to replicate what happened in game 2. This time it was a better result because Jerickson Profar did not catch it. He ended up having another hit in this game. Freddie Freeman didn't get on base, but, did hit the ball, and, whatever, he's compromised. I don't know how much we can count him. We'll see if we end up seeing him in game 4 because he did have to, he did re-injure himself a little bit, having to jump for a ball and landing on the base. And, we'll see what happens there. I think maybe a little bit more realistic now with Dylan Cease being named the starter for the Padres, just because, he is a right-handed guy. Teo had the big hit, but, Max Muncy, nothing. Tommy Edman, he has 3 hits in the series, but none in this game. It's just tough. It's tough as a Dodger fan because you think, like, why can't we get the hit? Why can't we get it done? And, maybe it's coming. Maybe those hits are coming, and the Dodgers are going to get them now. And, it's just we have to go through this unfortunate phase of losing 2 games in a row. But it's hard not to think, like, maybe they're not going to hit.
Yeah, it's hard to be super optimistic right now after a game like this. But the fact is, they're still in it, and maybe I know you want to wait till the third segment to be optimistic. But I think about, and you kind of mentioned this the other day, the feeling right now is very similar to the feeling after Game 4 of the 2020 NLCS, when the Dodgers had just had that huge win in Game 3 to get back in the series. And then they lose Game 4, go down 3-1. And, I remember very clearly. And for me, that one hit me harder because it was also Kershaw who got the loss in that game, which was, a personal for me. I was on vacation in Seattle with my family. I was watching that game on my phone, walking around downtown Seattle, and just this pit in my stomach. And we know how that turned out. That doesn't mean this is going to turn out that way. But, I've said it before, I'll say it again. There's no point for me, and I'm not going to tell anybody else how to do it, no point for me in not being optimistic, because like I've said many times, there will be plenty of time to be sad if they lose this series. I'm not going to start being sad beforehand. It's frustrating this game for sure. And I'm not, like, there's a bunch of stuff going on in the chat right now and people are venting, and I get it. I disagree with a lot of what's being said in there. I'm not calling anybody out because, we all have to vent. We all have to fan in our own ways. But for me, it's, you win one game at a time. I guess we're talking about the next game in the next segment. So I won't burst that bubble too much, but maybe this is a segue. I don't know.
Yeah, let's build a path to how the Dodgers can win this series. Because I remember having to do that episode when the Dodgers were down 3-1. And
you had to do it solo because I was on vacation.
Yeah, having to do it solo. And the way I kind of built that episode was finding the path to winning the series. So we're going to find that path, how the Dodgers can win this series. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.com, booking.yeah. Explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Check out those other baseball cities that are out there. There may not be too much more October for the Dodgers, but there is at least one more. And if you want to go to San Diego and cheer on the Dodgers and try to will them to another victory and get them back to Dodger Stadium, well, Booking.com can help you out because they got hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more. You might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city during postseason, or maybe you have extreme optimism and you're not from Los Angeles and you want to book in Los Angeles. Well, you can do that too, because Booking.com's wide variety of choice across the U.S. You can go to whatever city you want to do and watch baseball. And even if you're not going to watch baseball, if the Dodgers don't make it past these next couple of days, Booking.com can deliver exactly the right U.S. stay for you, wherever you want to go, because no matter what team you're rooting for, Booking.com can make you a fan of any U.S. city. From hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts to cute bed and breakfast stays, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even if it's not Los Angeles. Booking.com, booking.yeah. I want to thank you for being an everydayer. If you are one, if you're not an everydayer, if you don't know what that means, it's someone that listens or watches every day. We appreciate those of you that already are everydayers. Or if you're not one, you want to, you become one. All you have to do is start listening and watching every day. It'll be made a lot easier depending on what happens tomorrow. But we'll get to that point after that. And if you want to go beyond the podcast, come a Locked On Dodgers Insider, you can go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. All right, let's talk about, the reasons to be optimistic. And I normally am one that, more irrational in the postseason. Definitely don't trust the offense. Definitely, am more of the pessimistic, we're going to lose. And I brought up on Twitter today after you had shown or tweeted about the game back in 2009 where the ball went off Matt Holliday's crotch. And I was like, man, that was such a different time as a Dodger fan because
we were just happy to be there.
Yeah, happy to be there. They definitely weren't supposed to be in the NLCS in 08 and 09. The reasons they got there were because they beat teams that were probably better than them. And it was just like fun, obviously nerve-wracking, but fun. And then now with expectations and, 12 straight years and all that type of stuff, we've said it before, or I've said it before, like you get jaded and you can kind of lose the perspective of it. And kind of what you said is kind of where the mentality I'm going with, where like, fire Dave Roberts, fire this, fire that, change the team, trade the players, blah, blah, blah. Like, if the Dodgers lose tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of time to talk about all that. So let's build out how the Dodgers can win. And the first one that you can start with is the Padres are starting Dylan Cease on short rest. I would imagine they don't expect him to go too deep into the game. And, if you want to find silver linings, and that's what we're going to do in this segment, the one game the Dodgers won this series, Dylan Cease started the game. Also, the one game that I won this series, I was in attendance, and I will be in attendance on Wednesday. So there's two little silver linings to start this path to winning this series.
Yeah, Cease did only throw 82 pitches against the Dodgers the other day. So, it's short rest, but after a short-ish outing. But also the reason he only threw 82 pitches because the Dodgers knocked him around. And so, that is the path to winning. The only way to win two games is to win one game and then win another game. Hashtag math. The Dodgers are going to be 100% focused on winning game 4. They're going with the bullpen game. Every on deck, you assume Landon Knack will pitch multiple innings in a row at some point. Maybe, we'll see what they do. But, I guess one way when I said earlier, I think it was better than getting blown out. The Dodgers made the Padres use all their top relievers today. And so if they can keep the game close and get Cease out of the game tomorrow, then they're going to see all those guys again for a second day in a row, and maybe different guys seeing them. But that there's absolutely reasons to think the Dodgers can win this game tomorrow. And then if they win tomorrow, then it's a best of one series in LA on whatever day, Friday. It's anything can happen in one game, and it's probably Yu Darvish against Jack Flaherty again. Maybe Flaherty, maybe Yamamoto. We don't know what the Dodgers would do. Maybe they go another bullpen game. Maybe they go Flaherty and Yamamoto. Who knows if we get to game 5. Right now, game 4 is the only thing they're thinking about, because you can't win game 5 without winning game 4. And, I'm interested to see, there's been a lot of stuff in the chat here about what the lineup should look like. And, Will Smith is like basically a mirror image of Jason Hayward most of this year. Jason Hayward, I used to joke he hits so many ground balls to the second baseman, you thought he was flirting with them. That's Will Smith in the shortstop right now. Do you go with Austin Barnes? Like, Austin Barnes isn't a good hitter, but he's definitely not worse than what Smith has been so far this series. Doesn't mean that he would do better tomorrow than Smith would, but maybe you shake it up. Muncy struggled. I'm like I said on the episode the other day, it's weird to me the hate that Muncy got after having 2 of the Dodgers' 5 hits in game 2. But Muncy did look really bad in this game, and maybe you save him for a pinch hitting spot or something. I'm wondering even, Vince, if they take Miguel Rojas off the roster because he's not getting better. And they said, he has said in the past that the second day it usually hurts even more. If they take him off the roster, then he can't play in the NLCS if they do get there. But maybe Dalton Rushing, like, let's get crazy. You got a left-handed slugger bat against a right-handed pitcher. Somebody who's never faced Dylan Cease, which means Dylan Cease has never faced him. Let's get totally crazy,
I had the exact same thought of getting Rushing on the roster when Rojas came out. Like, realistically, even if he's that play left a sour taste in my mouth, so I didn't want to see Rojas anymore anyways. The fact that he's injured, compromised, whatever. Tommy Edman plays a great shortstop, and then you figure out center field with Pages going out there. I wasn't I guess one thing, I wasn't surprised that it was Pages over Kiké to go out there to center field once Rojas came out, because I know that Roberts wanted to save Kiké for a situation where he could come in at bat. And not to take the bat out of Freddie's hands, but I almost thought Kiké was going to pinch hit for Freddie there against Tanner Scott, but it didn't end up happening. And Freddie got the hit, so not a huge thing there. But I want to see Kiké in the lineup. Like, if you're going to go down, give me a guy that we could sit here and talk about playoffs and clutchness and all that type of stuff, but for whatever reason, and the numbers may not back it up, but I have positive thinking and connotations of Kiké Hernandez on the roster, in the lineup when the Dodgers in the postseason. And, I think he's deserving of at least one start here, considering the fact that nobody else is hitting.
Yeah, and a lot of this, in 2022, we were having the same conversation, but it was about Cody Bellinger or Trace Thompson, and it ended up not mattering. Hopefully it will matter this time. Dalton Rushing has only played 9 innings at first base above A-ball in his career in the minors. But you know what? That's 9 more than I've played above A-ball. So, you know what? He's played technically, he's probably played more first base in the last 3 years than Max Muncy has, and actually quite a bit more. So if they were willing to go with Muncy there, let's get Dalton Rushing at first base, give Freddie the day off, get Kiké in there at third base, get, Barnes at catcher, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a fan of change for change sake, but I'm also not a fan of guys who are really, really struggling in a win or go home game.
Yeah. I almost want Tommy Edman just bat right-handed too, just to, whatever it is. I know he has at least one of the hits left-handed, but still, the one thing in the chat here, there are a lot of questions about the pitching plan and kind of what they're going to do. Dave Roberts announced it as a bullpen game. Now there's different ways to go about it with the bullpen game. One of those ways that we're used to as Dodger fans is with the bulk guy. You have 2 guys that can go multiple innings in Landon Knack and Ben Kasperius, but obviously those are guys that aren't as, or never been in the postseason one, and also guys that you don't know exactly what to expect. They've had varying degrees of success in the majors over their time this season. But do you think it's as simple as they go with an opener and then see where the lineup lands and have Knack and someone else for that second inning, and then just kind of obviously it's going to be inning by inning, they're going to take it by, but if they're writing out the plan right now, do you think it's like, okay, someone for that first, Landon Knack penciled in for the second and beyond, but also they'll have someone else warming up or maybe at least stretching to get ready?
That would be my guess, although it wouldn't surprise me we don't see Knack till the 4th inning. They let relievers get through the top of the lineup 2 times. I I don't know. They've surprised me at different times in the past. I don't know that there's a right answer when you're in a game like this. They'll see what lineup the Padres put out there. And, Alex Vesey hasn't pitched in a few days. He could probably go 2 innings if they want him to, if they do have a situation stacked. And Vesey has been good against righties this year too. Actually, at one point anyway, he was actually better against righties than against lefties. I don't know if that evened out at the end of the season, but, he's not just a lefty-only guy. I wouldn't be surprised to see Vesey go a couple innings. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Knack only gets like 5 outs, if it's just literally a shortened thing. And then Ben Kasperi has 5 outs too. That's what, 10 outs, 3 1/3 innings. And so that, your bullpen, the rest of the bullpen doesn't have to do as much. It'll be interesting to see, I guess. There's no proven game plan for a situation like this. You just kind of gotta go with the flow and see what happens and try your best. And I mean, again, we've said it so many times, but it's going to be up to the offense to win this game. In a bullpen game with Landon Knack and Ben Kasperi is probably throwing some of that. You probably need to score 6 or 7 runs. So go figure out how to score 6 or 7 runs.
Yeah, that's obviously the biggest part of this is the offense putting up runs. You open up, margin for error is a word we like, or a phrase we like to use here. And, that's kind of what you have with the offense. Like, they can make the margin for error that much greater, that much better. Blake Trinan hasn't thrown since game 1. I would imagine he can go out there and give you another 25, 30 pitches if you need. Kopech through today, but, not a lot. So, well, obviously it's all hands on deck. Anyone is available to pitch in this game. You have the day off before you get to Friday, and Friday you have a legitimate starting pitcher that, could give you 5 innings realistically. So it makes everything a lot different. So I would say that while we haven't agreed with all of Dave Roberts' roster decisions or in-game decisions in the past, when they have had bullpen games, the guys have pitched well, and it has made him look good in the past.
Yeah, I am a firm believer that manager has very little impact on the outcomes of games. There's so few decisions, and even when you make the right decision, it's got a 52% chance of working out, and you make the wrong decision, it's got a 48% chance of working out. Like, it's just, it's easy to blame the manager, and managers get blamed all the time. And some managers actually are really bad at their jobs, but this is going to come down to whoever gets the ball. They're all major league pitchers, and they're going to have to pitch well. And whoever's in the lineup is going to have to hit the ball. All of these guys, you can make a case for everybody. Yeah, you can even make a case for Chris Taylor in the starting lineup. Like that's how where we're at right now. You can make a case for anybody. And the fact is, they're all big league hitters. And any one of them could have the game-winning home run tomorrow or the game-winning double. But, it's going to come down to the players who are in the lineup, players who are on the mound, doing their jobs and getting the job done, and take it one game at a time. Like, you can't win game 5 until after you win game 4. So win game 4 and then worry about Friday on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the more, I don't know if it's macro or micro level, but it's going to be one batter at a time. Like that, the Dodgers are going to play this game, at least on the defensive side, one batter at a time with the way they build out this pitching. And then, on offense, you just got to hit. You need your guys to do something. You need Ohtani to do something. You need Betts to do something. You need the bottom of the order to get it back to them as many times as possible, and hopefully with runners on base sometimes. So again, that if the Dodgers lose, there's going to be a lot of time to talk about, fire Dave Roberts, fire the coaches, change the philosophy, all that type of stuff. But until then, there's hope, there's chance. The Dodgers are in it, and again, they just have to win one game and get to the next one. So,
yep, I'll probably be here by myself tomorrow night because you have to go to the actual game, right? So, it'll probably be me solo, win or lose. Hopefully, win, and we will talk about Game 5 because they win tomorrow, and it's like I said, it's a best of 1 at that point, and anything can happen. So, I'm staying optimistic, and I invite the rest of you to do the same.
Yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day or your last listen of the day, whatever it is. Check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 2 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. Locked On Dodgers Postcast with host Pete Fox is available after most Dodger games on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. You can go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You can get texts from us with any news updates and anything else regarding the Dodgers straight to your phone if you aren't online all day like you may not be able to be. You can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff is on Twitter at SnyDog. I'm at Vincent91. You can send us any DMs with any questions or comments. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us when you get in your car. If you're at home, here's my advice for the podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.